Welcome to the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast. I am your host, Dean Phillips, and I'd like to thank our sponsors, the Precision Metal Forming Association and the PMA's Educational Foundation, for all of their support. I am lucky enough to have today Greg Paulson, who is with us today from Xometry, where he is the Director of Application Engineering. Welcome, sir.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Woo!
See, everybody's glad to have you here today. So right off the bat, tell me what you see on the horizon for the 5-year Destiny of Manufacturing.
Okay, put me on the spot. All right, this is going to be the most loaded sentence I could give you. Trust in manufacturing through transparency.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I think that's what Xometry is aiming to do, is to build a system that is away from traditional manufacturing, especially when it comes to pricing, lead time, capacity constraints, excuses, and building a system where you can really understand this is what a part should cost on a competitive marketplace. This is how long it should take to bake, and here are the considerations you may have, including things like manufacturability, the process you're choosing, design feedback, and trying to put that all in one platform, in one place.
That's a mouthful for a first key takeaway. So as part of that, can you expand a little bit about your background and Xometry's background and how that trust in manufacturing through transparency translates through you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the Director of Application Engineering at Xometry, and I have the privilege to work with experienced manufacturing leaders throughout our organization. And a lot of these have come from running their own shops in different disciplines. So say there's machining or injection molding or additive manufacturing. Actually, my background is I have expertise in a large variety of additive manufacturing technologies and materials, and I've had a lot of hands-on work actually utilizing them for end-use products. And that played a role in Xometry because we have this platform that you can upload a 3D CAD model to, and it instantly interprets the part and gives you pricing and lead times for, usually it's going to default to the cheapest material, like SLS nylon, a 3D printed material. They can quickly move it to spec manufactured, so CNC, 6061 aluminum, blue anodized, 3D inserts, 4 places with tolerances less than 2,000, 32 RA surface finish, and I need a CMM inspection report. Quick pricing updates immediately. And so we have all these options and all these choices, and my job is really to help guide of those who kind of need help choosing through the works a little bit to understand how to, what process may work best for them at this time and what process may work best when they want to scale their product up. So I kind of live right in the middle of a bunch of manufacturing technologies in this platform that is Xometry. Excellent.
Now, when you talk about that, do you see that there is a challenge within that to basically now you're the responsible person to vet these companies? Do you find that to be a more challenging process?
We find it's a different mix. So a lot of our customers, depending on the industry, they already know what they're choosing. For example, we have a large amount of aerospace and defense customers. And they usually are designing parts, most of the time in sheet metal or CNC, to be completely candid. And they're designing these parts, and they know what the purpose is, how they're going to work. They've already done the mechanical tests, and so it needs to be this material, 70-75 aluminum, or it needs to be this type of steel, and it needs to have this finish, and it needs to have this part marking to it. And so it's funny enough, that's actually the least hands-on sometimes because it's all self-service from there. I find that the more you move towards plastics and polymers, the more it becomes a help me choose environment. there are so many options out there. And even in 3D printing, Xometry offers 7 different 3D printing technologies alone. And then within each one of those technologies, you're looking at dozens and dozens of different materials. So usually when myself or my team comes into play, it's on a specific application need, or it's a quick. Sometimes it's a quick down select. Just kind of let's talk about your needs. Is this a prototype? All right, it's probably one of these 2 processes. It's easy peasy, but it's also this combination for sometimes when it comes to application of us looking at the 3D file first and kind of letting it talk to us. Like talk to us about what it needs to do, where it is, and we'll help guide you that way. Ultimately, the designer is the engineer, so we're here to help navigate processes, but we're not there from the very beginning of the design, the purpose. We're there just to kind of help take them from that 97% to that 100%.
Excellent. Now, as far as how that works, now you're providing, one of the services that you're providing is obviously competitive bids that you're doing internally, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're actually instantly generated. We use AI and machine learning to determine the pricing, but the bids are, the price that you see is the price that you pay. So it's almost like a buy it now situation.
Okay. And when somebody provides you with a print of some sort, either 3D or 2D, are they expecting that you're going to provide a service for them to say, hey, this is the best solution for your problem? Or are they coming to you with hey, here's what I've got. I know that I need to have it done in this manner. Can you tell me what the pricing would be?
Yeah, so like I said, we cast a really wide net there. If someone knows what they want, we usually have that option, and especially if it's a common material. Most of these common materials, processes, and finishes are instantly priced on our site. A lot of times, that the other question comes down to, like when we work with a help me choose moment, it comes down to not just the product what it's going to be, but the product where they are right now. So, for example, if I am doing a CNC machined component ultimately, I may want to prototype in a 3D printing method to save cost and do rapid iterations, like getting my parts, in 2-3 days, versus, waiting a little bit longer for them. So sometimes it's based off that geometry. What's going to create these feature sets the best is going to be FDM 3D printing, and we're able to lean a customer that way. So sometimes it's not just like what the part's going to be, but actually where the part is right now. Like, what do the next couple of weeks look like for you in this project, and we can help determine that scope. But I really want to say, like, we also have these great resources on our site. So because Xometry offers all these technologies, and we have terrific expertise and manufacturing partners as well, where we're able to put a lot of content and knowledge base actually on the website to also help learn and navigate and make some of those decisions, educated decisions by, say, for example, taking a look at one of our design guides and reading through. We also have design for manufacturability suggestions on some of our feedbacks when you look at your 3D CAD in our website. So once you upload it, as well as we even have add-ins for those who are designing. If you're using SolidWorks or Inventor, we actually have free add-ins that you can go and do everything you could do on the website directly within your CAD platform. So we're trying to make that part of it really easy and really accessible.
That's I think it's an amazing shift, and it's a tremendous concept to launch. Now, how did you guys go about launching this idea, and what was the kind of premise of how you came about moving in this direction?
Oh yeah, so I joined on in early 2014, right around when Xometry was starting. So I'm not a founder, but I've been here for near the beginning. Like the entire company, we all sat at a conference table together to talk about strategy and how we're going to grow and what we need to do. And you come across this problem in manufacturing a lot, and I've been phrasing it as a problem of procurement, where pricing for one part may vary by 30, 40, 50%, depending on the vendor, as well as lead times. and that's after waiting several days to get feedback about these parts. So all this stuff happens up front before you even have pricing and decide to buy. That it's just these conversations, and even like I joke whenever someone says, please quote quantity 5, 10, 25, 50, 100, 1,000, you at best are going to win one of those quotes, but you're doing the effort 5x times for that, because they're trying to see how the process scales. But even at the end, they may not even order in that amount that you actually quoted. It may be 72 or something in that matter.
Right.
So we always decided from the very beginning to put technology right up front to make that pricing just boom right there. So that whole please quote 25, whatever, you just type in 72 and press enter, and boom, you see the quote for 72 parts. And taking that out of the equation helps you focus on the other end of that, which is fulfillment. You find a shop that you love, and if you're a company that does a lot of work that you need to have produced, sometimes you squeeze them to death, which is you give your favorite shop all this work, and they don't want to disappoint you, so they're like, yep, and then all of a sudden they're 3, 4, 5 weeks behind, or one of the projects that they're doing for you, something goes wrong, and they have to occupy a machine, and all of a sudden it backs to your other project that would have gone right, backed up. And again, it's stuff that happens in manufacturing. Like, and these are shops that usually have smaller amount of machines, and they're able to sometimes they just need to adapt or push extra shifts, but there's stuff that can cause delays in these manufacturers, especially when you overload them. You get in much more of a critical state. So we have moved to a manufacturing partner network strategy that it's been awesome, because we are able to empower small business manufacturers that in a lot of ways actually may never actually been connected with that customer in the first place. They may have never had access to marketing or a venue or the location to ever access this customer, and yet they may be the person best in the world to make that project. So say for example, the part's a live turn part, so requires turning and milling, some extra features. There may be a shop that it's the bread and butter all day long. They can do these type of parts, and what we're able to do is essentially on our job board when this offers won, they're able to see that, and we'll actually look at it and be like, hey, we think this is a good fit for you. This is all done through our kind of AI learning program, but it'll say, hey, we think this is a great fit for you based off work you've previously done. You want to take it? And they'll take a look and say, yep, this fits you well, click and go. And that's instant PO. They know what they're getting paid. We provide the price for them. And if it doesn't fit for them, like they're like, you know what, my shop's down for PM right now, no problem. They'll pass. It'll go to the next capable performer. But you don't have this, hub to desk capacity issue, because we have shop owners making real logical decisions on whether or not they accept or pass on a project. And for them, it's beautiful because we are always giving them new work. So they're always seeing work that's available, and they're able to make, again, sound logical decisions on, can I provide the best part on time for this customer and for Xometry.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's really an ingenious strategy to take. I think it gives the company that's requesting the work, it gives them a little bit better feeling that they know that this isn't going to just go to one person, that any of these shops can provide this service. Whereas, as you mentioned, what often happens is that somebody is basically to the max on their manufacturing, and if something happens, now what do you do? And they don't have to go and search out those vendors. They don't have to go out and make sure that they find a source for these parts. They can feel assured that the manufacturing will get done, and it'll be done on time and for the price that's quoted, which is a huge issue in the aerospace and defense, which is filled with cost overruns.
Yeah, and that is actually something that we break the mold for. Is there's I've done NASA as one of our customers, and we also done some of our customers plus investors are companies like GE, BMW, Dell. They're actually customers first, and they invested into Xometry. Bosch is showing on as well. We're pretty excited about that. But I used to, especially for NASA and these government entities, they used to ask you to give them a cost sheet, which was essentially a please list out parts similar to this and with the pricing that you provided to customers. And it was essentially a way to say, I just want to make sure that you're not, you're not squeezing us on extra costs just because we're NASA. And that's kind of what I love about the Xometry platform is because that price happens boom instantaneously. Like it is it is agnostic of, this exactly who's asking for the work in a lot of ways up front. It's just looking at the scope of the project. Now, of course, if you are NASA or if you're an aerospace company, then you have a few checkboxes that do add costs like ITAR, CMM inspection reports, usually specialized finishing. These like AS9100 standards and all these things are accessible on our website. But from the get-go, like as soon as you add these features, the price increases. It's right in front of you. So I think that's something that's just very relieving for the person, for the purchaser, or the sourcing team, or the engineer who's trying to get their project made.
Excellent. Now, is Xometry handle these projects on a worldwide basis, or is it strictly U.S. or strictly certain geographical areas?
So the vast majority of our projects are domestic right now. In fact, our manufacturing network is by far majority domestic. We have recently added an option for our machined and sheet metal parts called Economy, and that is actually with our very first intro to international manufacturers. So we now do have an economy option. That's a little bit longer lead time, but in some cases, up to 70%, cheaper parts for machine components. So it is definitely the option. It opens up in our minds. We don't see it actually competing with this domestic marketplace because it's different needs. So it actually just opens up more potential customers for Xometry to use us because we have more use cases now on our site. I know with our recent investment, so we raised $55 million with a total of $118 million over the last 5 years. With this recent investment, Bosch is a portion of this, and there is definitely an interest in a European expansion. So Xometry definitely has, intent to be global and actually be kind of like that transactional marketplace for manufacturing and custom part needs.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason why I asked that too is that obviously within the U.S., workforce is the number one concern I hear from every single manufacturer out there, is that we have a difficult time finding good people. And I think on your platform, if you have a surplus of labor in one area, you can get better pricing by searching outside of your geographical area. And what to whatever extent that surplus comes about. And in many ways, this is kind of like an Upwork version of manufacturing, which is, I think
it's as a service. It's definitely a platform. Yeah.
And I think that the really unique aspect of that is that, hey, I've got 4 hours extra machining time this week. Okay, I'll bid on this project. I'll go and I'll see if this is something that I can do. And that's a really nice way to help fill your shop. If you're a manufacturer, if those machines aren't running, you're not making money.
So, yeah. and we actually used to have, I know we still do. I have one of our manufacturers there in the oil and gas industry, which is, oftentimes seasonal. And they, I think they called some of our jobs like lunch jobs, because literally it was the stuff where they'd be running during their lunchtime. So they would be running something simpler like brackets or something that matter, like something you could run a 3-axis mill. But either way, it was revenue, and sometimes the decision makers for taking this work, they aren't the heads of the organization. Sometimes they're actually, the shop floor managers, those who have kind of the best view of what what they can and can't do within the time frame. So it's kind of interesting to see the dynamics sometimes of who's taking the work and who kind of has the authority on the job floor. even with small business manufacturers, a lot of times the best machinist in the company is also the owner of the company, and they're spending so much time on business development and other sales and things. And sometimes it's nice to kind of relieve them of that. And I would say like Xometry can be a storefront bigger than they could ever have. Like we could, we have the marketing spend and the ability to really push to get more customers in and become that large funnel. And I think it's wonderful that we're giving this work to these manufacturers. It's not just all one giant internal shop that we're taking business away from these other shops. We're actually giving them that work and utilizing their talents more importantly.
Yeah, I can see where this would be a huge advantage for a lot of companies that find that they're trying to improve their the way their OEE looks because they've got so much open time. And historically, people try to make their OEE look better by saying, well, the machine wasn't scheduled to work. And they don't really take that into account when they're looking at their manufacturing. They're like, well, for the time that we were running, we're at 85%. Yeah, but you're only running one shift a day, so your OEE really is technically not looking very good.
You're like sub 40s right now, yeah.
Yeah.
It is very interesting because there's this idea of like, there's this idea of it's worth it for me and my time and everything. But one of the things is I love reading and rereading the book The Goal, which is made in a book from the late 80s, but it's cheesy and fun and it talks about this theory of constraints and I actually read that at a time where I was in the traditional workspace where we would take jobs of big losers for sinking all the ships. This is before Xometry, so I was in this factory setting where I was seeing like these jobs like really really hurting us sometimes. And at the same time, you had all these spindles not moving on your shop. So like I've seen this side of the industry too, and really in the book The Goal, like I'm not giving too much away, but the goal is to make money. How do you make money? You have shippable revenue, right? So so it's not about the big jobs. It's about how much revenue can you ship per day. So I think Xometry can really help you there because you can actually get work and just continuously have the shipment. And we pay twice a month, so we have a very nice, very frequent payment schedule that I know a lot of our shops like, and it's just this, it's this really nice blend because again, they're building quality parts, for our large customer base. I think just talking while we're on the subject of nurturing the machine shop side, we actually opened up a company within the company called Xometry Supplies, and Xometry Supplies is because it's a link to our site, but it actually is a place where you can buy stock metals like 6061 aluminum, end mills and cutters and other things to help empower manufacturers on our network, as well as it's supplies that's actually open to anybody. So if you just, if you have a home project and you need some aluminum plate, check out Supplies. But it's but the idea is that we can actually build these partnerships and leverage essentially our network and get better discounts for it.
Right.
And that sounds so cheesy, but pass the savings on, but that's really kind of what we're doing there.
Yeah. And that's an amazing way to do that because I think by having these, it basically gives you more buying power. It gives the manufacturers that discount from that. So I could see where that's a huge benefit also.
Yeah. And that's why going back to this, trusted manufacturing through transparency, I think that's where we want to be, right? Is, Xometry right now we're working with these direct manufacturing partners and we have this, great interface for engineers, designers, people who just want custom parts to get their work fulfilled and to quality. And as Xometry grows, over this next 5 years, I think we really are going to become that place of interaction between buyers and suppliers. And there's a lot of different opportunities available beyond just quick buy and quotes, including I'm very interested in being a knowledge resource, a place where you can go to learn, for example, about advanced additive manufacturing, like a lot of things that have a veil over them right now. I want to take these technologies, put them on the platform as another shop that you have access to, and tell you why it may be a good decision for this project, or why you may want to try a traditional approach for this project. So, just as long as Xometry, if we follow our business plan, I'm kind of building an automation using data science, using AI learning and leveraging, the network of capacity that already exists. The customers are there. The customers they want parts, and oftentimes the access is just the biggest challenge. So by us kind of facilitating that, I think we can do a lot with this company.
Yeah. Can you tell me, now this is probably a tougher question, but what was one learning moment you had that all of a sudden something you didn't expect to happen, you found this new solution to a problem when you first got going? You were like, well, I didn't really expect that to happen. Did you have any moments like that?
We have some in-house capabilities, and real early on we became that squeeze the death shop. So I've even though we knew it wasn't the thing, it's like, hey, all of a sudden, like, we had a limited shop. We were our in-house shop was very, very good at high-end aerospace components, because we had Jason McClure who was running the shop, and he came from a company that was the bread and butter. And we had all these experienced machinists that could do third, fourth, fifth axis machining, live tooling lathes, wire EDM. And, sometimes, when we were early on, like sometimes we'd, be taking on work within the shop here. And, like we bite off too much, like, oh my gosh, it's, you have the work that can be done quickly, but it's behind because of work that has to be tweaked or slowed down or machined down for maintenance. And that's really, really, really when we started pushing and building out this manufacturing network and really say, this is the business. The partners are the most important thing about this business, and nurturing them and making them the best they can be. And that was a big portion of us, realizing, we can't cut metal faster than other businesses. Like there's only certain RPMs you can go. And
right.
And so, like, the more you try to be like, I'm just going to cut metal faster, you're going to run into a lot of trouble, because it turns out that's not the case.
Right.
And so, like, yeah, I think sometimes you just have to kind of learn, see it for yourself. And we did, and I mean, we were smart enough to make the moves to build out the network.
Great. Well, sir, I really appreciate it, Greg. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to thank our sponsor, of course, the Precision Metal Forming Association and the PMA's Educational Foundation for helping us put this show together. I want to thank everybody out there for taking the time to listen to our show. Hey, Greg, where can people get in touch with you?
So, Xometry.com, Xometry.com is the best place, and support at Xometry for any general questions. My direct email, I'm Greg Paulson, GEAULSEN @Xometry.com. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And of course, you can listen to other podcasts that we've had on our show at longevityindustries.com. And anywhere else you find it, you can find our podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, you name it, we're there. Appreciate it, everybody. Have a great day.